Okay, team. So this week on Upside, we're going to be looking back over the last 20 years combined of me and Ali selling on Amazon at some of the biggest mistakes we've made that we think you can learn from. So let's get into it.
All right, this is part 2 of our little cathartic, a little bit painful, but hopefully pleasurable experience for you guys on the mistakes that we've made in selling online. These ones are ones that we also see a lot of new brands make. So if you are new to the world of selling online, this is hopefully be beneficial for you. We've got 4 or 5 of them we're going to run through, and hopefully 1 or 2 of them will save you a lot of heartache. Okay, mistake number 1, not buying your own barcodes. Let's talk through why that's important firstly. Why is that important?
So Amazon now links through to GS1, who provide the official register of barcodes in the UK and Europe and the US, and they check that. So whenever you go on and you put your brand name in, they go and check that against GS1's register. And if you're not there, you don't own your barcode, then you don't control your product.
And that's the painful bit. So what often happens is when people look at starting out, they will either buy some barcodes off eBay, secondhand barcodes from non-GS1. So just the key thing for this, the key pain thing to avoid this pain is basically go to gs1.org. Every country has their own one. It's a global entity that does this, and buy your own barcodes. Get them linked to your brand, because what often happens is people will go on, buy them on eBay, buy them secondhand, buy them somewhere else, or get them from their manufacturer, and then create their products. All is fine. Everything is great. You might get supermarket listings, which is what happened to our brand. They had supermarket listings. They had wholesale listings. They were selling. This was like a company that was going. Then they're like, let's try selling on Amazon. And when they go onto Amazon, they couldn't, because when you create the listing, you have to put the barcode in, and then Amazon literally on the back end, so you didn't see it, but on the back end is checking the GS1 register, seeing is the brand that's noted there the same as what's on the GS1 register. And if it's not, they will block you creating that listing. This is how they prevent fraud, right? That's how they prevent people from doing like dodgy stuff on Amazon. So they blocked these guys. And so they were actually using the manufacturer's barcode. So they had to go back, redo all of their labels. If you imagine, they've got stock in supermarkets and wholesalers everywhere. They have to get all that stock back, relabel everything, relabel all their new stuff, create all new labels, and then get them up. And this super expensive mistake to make, and it happens so often. So look, we don't get anything for this. We're not getting any kickbacks from GS1. This is actually just the proper way of doing it. Go to GS1. It's not that expensive as well. I think it's like 100 something pounds for a subscription for about 1,000 barcodes. Save yourself a lot of headache.
Absolutely. I know I made that mistake at the beginning. My manufacturer provided my barcodes for me, and I didn't realize that was going to be a problem. Thought they were doing me a favor. Turned out not to be. So yeah, it's an easy mistake to make. Our second mistake is messing up voucher codes. So the reason you may create one of these is because you want to if a customer has had a poor experience, you want to give them a more positive one, you might send them out a discount with 95% discount on the product. It's an easy way to get them to get the product, or at least that's what you think. And then suddenly it slips out into the real world. Ali, I know I've experienced this one, incredibly painful. You've experienced it too.
So there's a reason why we got to number 1 in France really quickly. We cleared so much stock. So I created a voucher code, and on the back end of Amazon at the time, it was like, really did make this mistake. And we actually flagged it up to them so many times, like, guys, you need to fix this. But we put this in, it was supposed to be a private voucher code, became a public voucher code, 95% off. Boom, all I just tick in the box. We cleared so much coconut oil in a few hours, sold out of stock, cost us a lot of thousands. Well, it cost me. And then the other issue, once the problem with that is once you've cleared the stock.
You run out of stock, right? You're out of stock. No more revenue coming in.
No more sales.
No more sales, and no cash to buy the next lot of stock or to cash flow the next lot. So there are so many issues. We pleaded with Amazon to not ship out all of the items. We actually managed to get some of them pulled back. But you're right. There was one plus side. Our rankings completely rocketed. And back then there was a longer halo period. So there was some benefit from it. Man, that was painful though. That cost me thousands. That was so painful.
Check your voucher codes and make sure they apply the rules that you want. only available to one person. They're only available once, not available to the public, not visible on the, and like check it. If you hit save and you set favorite, go and check the listing, make sure it's not visible on the product page, which is what happened to me. Very expensive mistake.
Single use voucher codes. Yeah, there's a whole load of things you can do, but it's easier just to set a generic one. It's definitely not advisable. 100%. Okay, Ali, what's up next?
Right. Next mistake, not knowing your cost of goods sold. So we call this COGS, your cost of goods sold. Man, so many companies make this mistake. They like when you're creating a brand, what's really cool, what's really fun. It's fun to create the artwork, fun to create the designs, get all the stock in, you do some calculation, there's some demand, yeah, I'm gonna make some money. But not knowing your cost of goods, we work with companies now, they're doing millions and they still don't know their cost of goods sold. And I'm like pulling my hair out thinking, how could you not know how much it costs you to produce your stock? So it's so fundamentally important. So if you're selling, or you're considering selling, know what it costs to create the product, wherever it is, UK, Europe, China, whatever it is, and getting it to your own warehouse or a place that you control. And that warehouse could be your bedroom. It doesn't really matter. It just needs to be somewhere where you are in control of the product. Know that number. That is the number and that includes things like tax, any VAT, or the transport costs. Bring that all in, understand the cost of goods sold, because that's the number that you're going to calculate all of your pricing on, all of your margins on. Rule of thumb is you're going to be wanting to make at least 30% profit per unit sold. You won't know what that 30% is unless you know your baseline. We have to kind of stay on top of this. Like I know I have to for our company because the price of cooking goes up and down all the time. So we're constantly checking what is the cost of goods sold for our lines, because we might need to increase our prices just so that we can operate a business. Zamir, I don't know what's your experience been on that.
Like you said, there are so many things you need to kind of or you could factor in. And I think it's really important to spend as much time as you need to get as accurate a figure as possible. Because fundamentally, if you mess this number up, then that's the survival of the business, right? Whether it's successful or not really comes down to knowing your cost of goods.
This may be a charity. You may be running a charity, but most of the time it probably isn't a charity. So know what it costs to produce things. Okay, next mistake, not having a trademark. Okay, for the next one, I'm going to go off script. Nothing we'd prepped for, but I think it's super important now that we're kind of talking about this. Basically, not getting a trademark. That's the mistake. When people are starting out, they love to get their logo. Like, it's so nice to get the logo. What are you going to call your product? I'm going to call it this. It's going to look like this. This is what the packaging is going to look like. That is the sexy stuff. And sexy is great. Okay. Nothing is that. But you got to do your homework. And so often people create a brand and they won't check the intellectual properties office register to see, are there any other companies using the same brand name or the same logo? And that happens. I was speaking to a company 2 weeks ago. They were about to start production on a whole new product range. They were looking at spending about 10 grand on this first production run. And I asked them, have you a trademark against that brand name? No. And there were about 30 other companies with the same brand name. And so if you haven't already, if you're considering launching a product, or if you've already launched, go and check the trademark register. It's the IP in the UK. It's ipo.gov.uk. And the cool thing is about the UK Intellectual Property Office is it will also give you some EU trademarks. It'll give you some worldwide trademarks as well. Just search, just check the brand name that you've got in there. Does it apply? And then the things to consider are like, maybe it's already there, but isn't the same class. So basically what they decide is they'll say, you can't have a trademark across everything necessarily. But say Coca-Cola, they'll have a trademark against food products. But they definitely have other ones, but it'll be against food products. So that class of goods, maybe you're selling a software. So that's not really going to apply to you. So great. Maybe you can get away with it. Double check with a lawyer. But if you're clear, get that trademark. It costs £170 in the UK. For every additional class, it's another £50. So save yourself a lot of headache on that one as well. You may even do your homework and still have an issue on the trademark front. We looked at launching a brand, Zamir. We should talk about that.
Yeah, okay. So that came down to that. We trademarked it. So we trademarked the design, everything. What we didn't get was a design mark. Okay. So we had a trademark on the name, but we didn't have a design mark. And when we were listing the product, it was a generic product, but with our logo on it. And we got, basically a cease and desist from another company that said they had the design mark for the generic product, which was pretty much impossible to have because it was a generic product and they weren't the first one selling it, but they were playing the Amazon system. And for us to fight the battle was probably going to take 6 to 12 months and was going to cost us somewhere between £5,000 and £10,000.
Yeah. So, I mean, you may get, even if you've done that bit, you may get hit by some black hat stuff. We did. But the truth is, like, if you've at least done the trademark, you have something to battle on. And we actually went back and we challenged them. We won the challenge. Then the next move was for us to kind of get them kicked off the process. But to do that, that was the bit that Zamir mentioned. It's going to cost us a lot of money, a lot of time. So we decided, fine, it's not worth the investment. We just pulled back from it. But that's my other takeaway. Get a trademark.
My next mistake was signing up for Amazon Launchpad. This is based on the fact that at the time, my sales were already over £1 million in the UK. And Amazon, as part of the program, were taking 5% straight off the top, and that included VAT. So they are effectively taking 6% of my bottom line.
Okay, so Zamir, let's take a step back. What's Amazon Launchpad?
Amazon Launchpad is a program Amazon offers to new brands starting out on the Amazon platform.
Yeah, and there've been some really big hitters on this, though. I mean, I know your experience wasn't positive, and I'll talk about mine right after this. I think Candy Kitten started on Launchpad.
I'd say the difference is if you're just starting out on Amazon, it may well be a really good thing because the main levers that Amazon pulls whenever there is discounting, they open up opportunities for a number of different things. But really the one that you get is favorable discounts. So the ability to sell something at a lower price than your regular retail price.
Yeah. Okay. And so I think taking back like the not so positive sides, I'm going to phrase it diplomatically, of what you experienced was you were paying essentially 6% margin on all of your sales and you're tied in for a year.
Tied in for a minimum of 12 months, yeah. And I think that, like I said, I was already over £1 million a year turnover whenever I got invited to the program. And the problem was that I didn't get the growth from the program. In fact, actually, because of the discounts, my revenue came down, didn't go up. If I'd really thought it through, I was already doing really well. I didn't need the program. It wasn't right for me.
Fair. Okay, my experience, while I had the same experience as yours, I did actually manage to, that 6% that you were paying, I managed to get that shifted over to our vendor kickback. So if you listen to the first episode of this mini-series, you would have heard about me talk about vendor versus marketplace and our experience on it, which wasn't so positive for us. But one of the cool things I got from it, the Launchpad partner I had worked with me to convince the vendor guys to take the 6% we were paying from there and use it on the other side so we could actually grow things. And so overall, yes, we didn't get all the exposure, but we managed to leverage some sweetness from it.
And I think that's it, right? If you can get enough advantage from it, it's worthwhile being on. I would question whether you could do that in 12 months. And so if you can get it for less than 12 months, I think it could be a very positive program as well. I think once you've hit a certain rate of increase, you're probably maximizing all that you'll get in terms of value from Launchpad.
And it may have changed since we did it. I mean, we're kind of like old.
We're veterans.
The program may have improved since we did it. So
I hope it has. I hope the percentages come down a bit. I'm hoping they're more flexible on the terms that you have to sign up for.
All right, guys. So those were 5 of the mistakes that we made that we wanted to share with you, somewhat painfully, but hopefully beneficially for you guys. So they were, just in case, I'm going to re-summarize it for you. It was get your own barcodes, go onto the GS1 website and get your own barcode if you haven't already. It's going to save your life. 2, watch out for voucher stacking and just vouchers becoming public. Just be careful on it. It could cost you thousands like it cost me. 3, know your cost of goods. How much does it cost to produce your product and get it to a warehouse where you control, because all of your margins and all of your pricing is going to be calculated off this. Make sure you know it. Do your homework on this. Know your numbers. 4, get a trademark. Creating your logo, creating your branding, super sexy, okay? Do the sexy stuff. But make sure you do the boring stuff too, which is trademark. Super important. You don't necessarily have to have a lawyer to do it, but if you get one, even better. And 5, Amazon Launchpad. What would you say, Zamir, for the Launchpad?
I think it's just consider if it's right for you. Have a look at the terms and really think about it, what you're getting out of it for the cost.
Great, guys. That's the pod for today. Have an amazing week. One love.
One love.
Hey team, if you've been enjoying Upside and want to keep getting that sweet, sweet value on marketplaces, please click follow, subscribe, or whatever it is you're listening on, and follow us along. It'll make our day.